Sometimes you just gotta suffer for a good deal, as I will today, flying 2 long-haul economy class flights back to back simply because it was by far the cheapest option for me to travel back home to Europe from South America. The journey cost just €447 and 17 cents, as is visible in the description of the video, like in all our videos, as we highly value transparency. And for a one-way journey from Brazil to Europe, that's not a bad price at all, especially considering that flying long-haul on Aeromexico is actually anything but suffering, as you'll see in today's episode of Brutally Honest. Aviation geeks and frequent flyers, welcome to this new episode of our review series Brutally Honest. Before we can board the plane, we actually gotta do a bit of suffering, namely departing from São Paulo Guarulhos Airport's Terminal 2. The terminal looks like it's straight out of the 90s because it was opened in 1991, and it looks like it has never undergone significant renovations, well, because it hasn't. The terminal has insufficient air conditioning, is way too crowded for its size, and get this, it does not offer free Wi-Fi. I can't remember the last time I've been in an airport without free Wi-Fi. Is this still common in some countries? Let me know in the comments which airports still fail in that regard. Nowadays, most major carriers at Guarulhos Airport use the 2014 opened Terminal 3, including Lufthansa, Air France, Qatar Airways, Air Canada, and many more. For the most part, Terminal 2 is used by Brazilian low-cost airline GOL, which we have covered on our channel before. However, some international carriers also operate from Terminal 2, likely for easier connectivity to local partner airlines. This includes a handful of SkyTeam carriers, including Aerolíneas Argentinas, Air Europa, and, well, Aeromexico, as well as a few other odd carriers like Ethiopian, Royal Air Maroc, and TAAG Angola Airlines. LATAM also operates domestic flights out of Terminal 2. After having scrounged of the free Wi-Fi from Starbucks, one of the 3 stores that were even open in the international part of the terminal, it was finally time for boarding. To my surprise, the ground staff was able to pull off a very orderly boarding process by groups, something that is particularly challenging when you don't have a lot of space to work with. Even the Qatar Airways ground crews in Doha were not able to pull off an orderly boarding on my journey with them this summer, as I mentioned in a recent episode of Brutally Honest. But back to Aeromexico. Our first long-haul flight today is operated by N183AM, a 2016-built Boeing 787-9. This plane carries a US registration because it's leased from a US-based company, and unlike most countries, Mexico allows its airlines to operate airplanes registered in foreign countries. Some of Aeromexico's planes aren't leased though, and those carry Mexican registrations, as you will see on our connecting flight later today. When you enter Aeromexico's Boeing 787-9 through door 2, you will notice this little bar area, which can be enjoyed by the up to 36 business class passengers, which are seated in a 1-to-1 configured cabin up front. The business class cabin features the Super Diamond seats, made by US-based company Collins Aerospace. Those are popular business class seats and can also be found on American Airlines Boeing 787-9, which we have featured in a previous episode of Brutally Honest as well. Behind that are 238 economy class seats in a 333 configuration, which is standard on almost all Boeing 787s. Aeromexico uses the Pinnacle seats, also made by Collins Aerospace. My seat for this 9-hour journey to Mexico City is 33A, a window seat in the rear section of economy class, and waiting on the seat already is a pillow and a blanket. And you'll instantly notice that the legroom is excellent, especially for someone like me who's 180 centimeters tall. There's also a standard seat back pocket with a safety card, as well as a tray table which can be used half opened or fully opened, and direct access to the complimentary cocktail menu. You may also find 2 universal power outlets per each 3 seats underneath the row. Each seat also has a personal entertainment screen with an audio port as well as a USB port right beneath it. The headrests don't actually move vertically, but at least the sides are adjustable. One thing I particularly appreciate is that Aeromexico decided to use reusable covers made of real fabric for their pillows, instead of the scratchy single-use covers many other airlines resort to. This makes the pillows very soft and extremely comfy to use. Now it's time to get on with our journey and head up to Mexico.
The entire Aeromexico team wishes you a pleasant flight. Lanzamos la red 5G una velocidad sin.
After takeoff, the crew handed out little kits with eye shades and earplugs, a very thoughtful gesture in economy class, especially on a daytime flight. As well as complimentary headphones, which are already packaged in the new plastic-free packaging. They're supplied by a Spanish company called Caeles, which we encountered at the Aircraft Interiors Expo in Hamburg, Germany back in June. This annual gathering is where airlines and suppliers meet once a year, and we have made a video introducing you to this fascinating world of seat manufacturers, catering companies, and, well, headphone packaging designers. Anyway, take a look at that video as well if you're interested. For now, it's time for lunch. And one thing I've always loved about Aeromexico is how well balanced, colorful, and for the most part healthy their economy class meals are. For the main course, I went with a chicken, which is served in a tomato salsa, as well as mashed potatoes and green beans. This was served alongside a fresh salad with tomatoes and croutons, as well as a pack of dressing, and some coconut-based dessert. A cold bread roll and some salted butter, as well as a pack of crackers and cheese is provided as well. And here's something I have never seen in economy class before on any of my flights: a real glass. Apparently it's supposed to be for wine, so even more alcohol. Speaking of alcohol, I went with a can of Mexican beer to accompany my meal. All in all, a flawless meal service. The only way it could be even further improved would be if the bread rolls were warm and if the cutlery was metal. But considering that these are the only things that come to mind, you see it was an absolutely impressive meal service, and it was delicious. Afterwards, I asked if they had leftovers, just because I wanted to show you the other option, and certainly not because I'm a greedy bastard who's way too much into airline food. And since the flight wasn't full, they did have leftovers, so here's the other option that was available. Ravioli with tomatoes topped with a cheese sauce. Also a very tasty meal, although it didn't look as appealing as the chicken. After lunch, the crew dimmed the windows and cabin lights. A perfect time to take a look at what we can watch on the in-flight entertainment system. Aeromexico offers a good selection of movies and TV shows to watch on demand. You can also access the menu card, which I appreciate. So we're getting a croque monsieur before landing. Sounds good. And then you can also view the extensive beverage menu, which is still mighty impressive. And of course the moving map. During the flight, in the rear galley, plenty of snacks were available. Things like crisps, wafers, peanuts, and chocolate cookies. The cabin was darkened for the majority of the flight, even though it was light out during the entire time, as it was a daytime flight. The Boeing 787s have modern dimmable windows which the crew can override, so you don't have control over them anymore. It's very disappointing, as I would have loved to enjoy the view over the Amazon. Although admittedly it made taking a nap more comfortable, from which I was only woken up by the pre-landing meal service. As mentioned before, we got a piece of croque monsieur, which was accompanied by a salad with, are these quail eggs? Some kind of small eggs. Never seen those in economy class before. And you've got a piece of apple honey cake for dessert. Again, a very tasty meal service, which I followed up with a cup of coffee. Then it was time to start our approach into Mexico City.
Please remain seated. Remain seated and do not open every compartment until your turn to disembark.
International transits at Benito Juaréz International Airport take time, so make sure you plan enough if you ever consider it. Because first you have to walk all the way from your gate to the arrivals hall, where you'll have to clear immigration, so legally I had to enter Mexico for this transit. That takes some time, but at least it got me a new stamp in my passport. And then you had to pass through security again. Aeromexico has their operations concentrated in Terminal 2, where we are right now. The terminal is quite nice, offering plenty of shops, different food stalls, and a lot of seating. However, the overall design is just, let's call it unique. It doesn't have regular windows, just these small holes, and that means you basically cannot see outside at all. It makes you feel a little bit like you're locked in a cage, and I thought to myself, who in the 90s thought this was a good design, only to find out that this terminal was opened in 2007. That's 9 years after Hong Kong International Airport opened this terminal. A generally well thought out layout with lots of space and shops, kind of ruined by this design. Or am I overreacting? What do you guys think about this terminal? A few hours and a shower at Aeromexico's lounge later, it was time to board our connecting flight. Flight 21 is the late evening flight to Madrid, but Aeromexico also offers a 7 p.m. flight out of Mexico City. Our flight is operated by XA-ADC, this time a Dreamliner registered in Mexico, a 2016-built Boeing 787-9. It has the exact same layout as the previous one, the same seats, and offers the same amenities. On this flight I went with 25J as my seat, the last row of the first section of economy class, so I don't have anyone sitting behind me. There was one little difference to the amenities of the previous flight. In addition to the pillow and blanket, you had a bottle of water provided, probably because this is an overnight flight, which I think is a very thoughtful gesture from Aeromexico. The flight was completely sold out, so our relaxation on this 11-hour overnight flight will be rather limited. After takeoff, dinner was served. The choice was again between chicken and pasta, where I went with the chicken, which was served in a green sauce and rice. Once again, this was accompanied by a green salad, as well as a piece of marble cake for dessert, and a bread roll with butter. This time I also made use of the glass, going for some white wine. A tasty meal service again, but now it's really time for bed. See you in a couple of, seconds. Shortly before leaving the Atlantic Ocean behind us, breakfast was served, with the choices being either scrambled eggs with a tomato sauce and green beans, or French toast with pears, of which I chose the latter. The main dish by itself was a little bit dry, but you did have fresh fruit, a cup of plain yogurt, and another bread roll with butter and strawberry jam, as well as beverages of your choice accompanying the meal. On this flight, they also already had the new cutlery sets made from biodegradable plastic, which is really nice. Aeromexico also has their Dreamliners equipped with onboard Wi-Fi, which unfortunately I wasn't able to get to work. And with that, our journey is already coming to an end again, after almost 20 hours of flying and 4 fantastic meal services. For this price, I would certainly choose to fly with Aeromexico again. Their economy class product is solid, leaving nothing noteworthy to be desired. From a great cabin with sufficient legroom, universal power outlets, as well as USB ports, to fantastic meals on both flights, Aeromexico even nailed the little things like the reusable pillow covers that made sleeping on board the plane much more comfortable, as well as the little amenity kit with eye shades and earplugs, as well as the bottle of water on the connecting flight. Aeromexico tries its best, and it shows. A very enjoyable journey, even though it was very long and exhausting. With that, I want to thank you very much for watching and coming along today. If you want to support our mission to provide first-hand reviews of as many different airlines as possible, please consider to subscribe to our channel or even sign up to become a paid channel member right here on YouTube and enjoy some extra perks and insights into the world of air travel. A very special thank you to all of those who have done so already. Because of people like you, we are able to pay for seat reservations for the best wing views, paying small creators for drawings like the one you've seen in our intro to help us enhance our video quality, and simply be able to continuously add new airlines to our channel. See you again next week for a new episode of Brutally Honest, where we'll take a look at Japan Airlines Premium Economy Class and the reason why it might not actually be worth paying extra for. So thank you again for watching, and have a great rest of your day.